So cold air moving south as we head into next week, and it's going to push all the way to the Gulf Coast. I've been talking about that for the last couple of weeks, and it looks like it's coming to pass. It's interesting to see it now really coming to fruition. The question is, are we going to get enough moisture to put some wintry precipitation all the way down to the Gulf Coast? All right, maybe so. And let me tell you what, I'm looking at this models. I'm thinking I'm losing my mind. What's going on? Is this really going to happen? Is this even possible? And I'm looking around, so I start digging into some National Weather Service discussions. Look at this graphic. This is right out of Lake Charles, Louisiana, the National Weather Service, a graphic that was on their website this morning. They're showing that idea of that polar vortex dropping all the way down right into the Great Lakes, pulling that Arctic air to the Gulf Coast. And look what they do. They draw us an arrow here pointing to that moisture driving in from the southwest with a big fat question mark. And I think that's the problem, right? Is this moisture going to overrun this? I don't know that it happens, but you got to wonder when you start to see this much, really, this idea showing up on the models over and over and over again. And when you start to see National Weather Service services really far to the south, like Lake Charles, pointing out the idea that there could be some impacts heading into next week, timing out precipitation and winter weather across the south. It's unusual. So pretty wild to see that. So we're going to talk about that today, and we're going to get into some of those details. Thanks for coming by. You can hear me now. We've got audio. We're good. Awesome. Speak louder. I don't know. I'm trying to speak louder. I got to save my voice. Maybe it's the tie tonight. I just got home from work, y'all, so it's been a long day. So just getting going here. If you're just coming by, we're talking about the winter weather that's moving all the way to the Gulf Coast. Snow in Florida. I don't know. Hey, listen, if you're going to see snow in Tallahassee, hold on. I don't know that we're going to get it in Tallahassee. I don't know if we're going to see it in Pensacola. I don't know that we're going to see it in Destin or in Lake Charles for that matter. But if you're going to get cold into the south to see some kind of wintry precipitation, this might be your chance. This would be it, right? We're in January, the coldest month of the year. All right, let's start talking about what's going on over the next couple of days. We're going to actually warm up here ahead of our cold Arctic blast that's going to be moving to the south. We'll really start to feel that heading into the weekend. We've got this system that's going to bring some rain here into parts of the Mississippi Valley. And look, some snow on the northern side of this as we head into Saturday. So this could impact places like northern Indiana, northern Ohio. However, it's interesting to see to the south, a little bit too warm for that. We're talking about just rain. And now here comes your big Arctic plunge, pushing all the way to Texas, down to the Gulf Coast. And now we've got snow here into the northeast, into parts of western New York, Pennsylvania. Our Arctic boundary likely going to stall out right here along the Atlantic seaboard. And then you got to wonder what happens after this. What do we see? A really wild look here. And I'm telling you, this is not new. This has been showing up. And I was reading the forecast discussion out of, I can't remember what National Weather Service it was out of New Jersey, but here's the words they said. Confidence growing of some snow here. It's still up in the air. There's still questions, but their confidence is growing. And I think the thing is, if you look at the GFS, it puts some snow here, some decent snow into New York, into southern New England. As your Arctic air pulls in, you're going to get some lake effect snow. We're dry here, though, across the Gulf Coast as we head into Sunday. I feel pretty good about this. This is the question. If this low shifts by 50 miles, you push your snow all the way to the Jersey Shore, and it doesn't push inland. The same thing. If it's just a little bit further to the northwest, your heaviest axis of snow would be slightly inland. This is a very, very close snowstorm here into the northeast. It's not going to be a huge storm, but it could be significant as we head into Sunday and Monday. That's the European. Let's continue out in time because it gets even more uncertain. And again, I like to go back to what the National Weather Service out of Lake Charles is showing, this big question mark that they have right on the front page on their site at weather.gov/LCH, showing that pattern set up. Is the moisture going to overrun the cold air and put the snow and the ice into the south? Well, if you look at this afternoon's, really, this is the odd run of the European that just came out literally moments ago. Thank you. It's Mount Holly, New Jersey. Appreciate that. Thanks, Scotty. You're exactly right. I couldn't remember where it was at I was reading. I did some homework. Tried to look around a little bit before I came on here. And as I look at this stuff, I go, what am I looking at? Right along the Gulf Coast, the European this evening, putting snow all the way down to Houston. putting the snow into Lake Charles. It's going to be snowing in the French Quarter if you believe this. I don't know that I do, but you can see the idea how cold this air mass is. And I got to tell you, when you get something this extreme, I think the models have a real hard time grabbing on to what's going on. And then this puts snow all the way. I mean, look at this, guys. Snow into North Florida, into South Georgia. When's the last time you've had snow in Macon or Columbus, Georgia, or Valdosta, right? It's been a long time. But if you're going to get it, you got to get the cold. And this is very, very cold. All right, let's move ahead in time. The European does, really starts to warm things up. And what it does not do that the GFS does, it really doesn't develop a super strong storm. And by the way, this is actually, I apologize. This is the GFS. Okay, I'm like, what's going on here? This is the GFS. Much stronger here on the snow. And by the way, I want to pop over the European because it also is showing, by the way, I was like, wait a minute, this doesn't look as detailed. It is showing that northeast snow too. So you've got the two big global models giving you the idea that there'll be some snow right there along the coast. The European also on board with the idea of that southern snow and ice. So the two big global models, that's why I'm going, which one am I looking at? They're both very similar here, okay? Keeping that wintry precipitation right along the coast. Now, does it come up the coast? I don't think there's a lot of consensus for that. This entire time, I felt like as we get this cold Arctic air in, it just suppresses everything to the south, and it doesn't come up the coast as a result of that. Now, if you go over to the Canadian model, which, by the way, also shows something going on, it's significantly different, and I don't like the Canadian in this time frame. It didn't do such a good job with the last storm. That's aggressive looking, right? That's really aggressive. So I would almost go, hey, that's an outlier at this point. And the GFS also kind of doing something weird as we head into the middle part of next week. Okay, so there goes your southern ice and snow. Look what the GFS does. It says, well, boom, you're going to get a snowstorm that rolls across southern Indiana and Ohio. That looks weird to me. I don't think that the models have a good enough idea of what's going to happen with this cold air, the extent of how strong it will be. And look, I mean, they're just trying to push snow all the way into Florida. Let's get through this weekend. Let's get through. I think we start to at least see what's going to happen with this, and then we'll see. Do we get something on the back end as some warm air tries to move back to the north? So I just don't see how that's gonna happen with this type of setup. If you look at the NAM, and you got to think you're getting within that time frame as we look at our northeast snow, by the way. And here, first of all, there's some snow moving through this region right now, causing some heavy snow into parts of Ohio as we head into the overnight. So really, here you go, right there. By tomorrow morning, some light snow accumulating into parts of Maryland, into the mountains of West Virginia, and even into parts of New Jersey. There could be a coating of snow even down to Philadelphia. Not a lot. And then as we head into Saturday and Sunday, there's your snow as your rain falls back to the south. And then remember, I was showing you that mid-Atlantic system. Look what the NAM does. It keeps it out to sea. So you're starting to see a little bit of a disagreement here. All right? Is there a snow shift? I'll tell you one thing. The models aren't agreeing. I don't have anything to shift from at this point. So, but the confidence growing heading into New Jersey and D.C. and the Delmarva for Sunday into, really Sunday, I would argue almost into Monday, is there. This is the GFS. The European also has that idea. I'm going to back it up and show you the Canadian too. Right there it is. That's Sunday. And let's go over to, do I have a close-up of the Northeast? I don't know that I do. Let's go back here. There you go. There's the European. So all three global models have your snowstorm at least trying to hold up. Does it get sheared out and pushed to sea? I don't know. I mean, it's close. And, if you look at Mount Holly's National Weather Service discussion, they're talking about that idea that the potential is increasing for the Jersey Shore for some snow. All right. Beyond this, again, the question is, do we get the southern snow, the southern ice? I don't know, but it's going to be doggone cold across the east with temperatures way below average. Look what the Ensemble Guidance says. I mean, you've got chances for snow in the Ensemble Guidance for the deep, deep south and the Gulf Coast. I mean, this right here, guys, is the probability of seeing more than 1 inch of snow spread across 51 different members of the European, giving you a 40 to 50% chance of snow somewhere inside this swath. Back here across Louisiana, a 50 to 60% chance. So your guidance is there. Temperatures on the way down, by the way. Let's look at this too. As we head through the weekend into the early part of next week, single digits and below zero temperatures showing up here in a lot of places. A closer look across the Plain States and into Texas. There's that moisture on the southern side of this, pushing across the Gulf Coast. And then what happens after this, right? I don't know. I don't know exactly what's going to go on because we've got to see where this first system goes. Do we get some kind of precipitation here? The European says nothing's going to happen here. Again, the GFS really wants to blow something up and bring it north. A lot of questions. The Ensemble Guidance still showing that snow across the south. Pretty wild to see that. And across the west, we could use some rain and precipitation in California. We're just not getting it. It's just looking dry. Some snow here across the front range of the Rockies. Boy, wouldn't this be nice? Maybe a little pocket of cold air could move into California, and maybe that puts some precipitation down. Maybe. We're stretching for that, too. All right, that's all I got for now, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.